My name is Lieutenant Evan Sutton, and I live the Coast Guard lifestyle.
Devastating damage expected. Hurricane Katrina. Most of the area will be uninhabitable for weeks. All gabled roofs will fail, leaving those homes severely damaged or destroyed. Partial to complete wall and roof failure is expected. All wood-framed low-rising apartment buildings will be destroyed. All windows will blow out. Persons, pets, and livestock exposed to the winds will face certain death if struck. Power outages will last for weeks, as most power poles will be down and transformers destroyed. Water shortages will make human suffering incredible by modern standards. Livestock left exposed to the winds will be killed. Once tropical storm and hurricane force winds on set, do not venture outside.
So what did you do before you came into the Coast Guard?
Prior to the Coast Guard, I was a scientific technician floating from job to job, pretty much, doing a lot of seasonal temp. A scientific technician. So,
Is that an official term?
yep, that's the official government term.
So you were working for the state of Washington?
Yep. So I did a quick job with this Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, where basically I sailed up and down the Columbia River. That was like right out of college, and we caught salmon, and it was awesome. I loved it. But that was only about 3 months of work for me. So then I bumped over after that to the state of Washington. And that job I had for about 2.5 years until I went to officer candidate school. I guess my last job before the Coast Guard is I was a Marine scientific technician, distinct from Marine science technician in the Coast Guard, where I basically went around Puget Sound and looked at the nearshore ecology.
What kind of college degree do you need to do that?
So my degree specifically was in environmental science with a marine ecology emphasis. So I was in Puget Sound, so I'm a Washingtonian. That's where I grew up. And I went to Western Washington University where I got that degree.
Is that a bachelor's degree?
Yep, bachelor's of science.
Who paid for that?
Oh, my folks paid for that. Yep.
Do you still have student loan?
I don't have student loans.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Did you get the GI Bill, the post 9/11 GI Bill?
I did. And that's what I'm using right now for my master's.
I want to make sure that I get this. You're using your GI Bill for your master's degree. Will tuition assistance not pay for your master's degree while you're in the Coast Guard?
With TA, I believe you have to obligate more service if you're an officer and you use it. And that just wrote it completely off for me. I do not want to obligate any more service than I have to.
I got you.
So using the GI Bill, I went to a university that has a yellow ribbon program. And basically what that program does is they treat you like you're like an in-state student, basically. They give you that tuition, and then the GI Bill, whatever that GI Bill is capped out at, so I believe it's like $35,000 a year, they basically give you that tuition. They say, okay, you don't owe us anything.
So why did you decide to join the Coast Guard? I mean, you're already doing science work.
Yeah.
You're already working for the state. You're already doing some pretty awesome marine biology going on.
Yeah.
Or were you making decent money?
Oh, God, no.
Well.
I think I was making about $2,000 a month, and that was living in the Seattle metropolitan area. It was pretty miserable.
Was there opportunity for you to move up?
So you can be a technician with a bachelor's, but you can only go so far in the organization. Because again, all the people who are actually leading the research projects, they at least have masters, let's say.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So everybody that you work for
At a minimum, had a master's.
had a master's degree.
Yep.
So
And the people who were truly leading the program had PhDs. Those who were really looking at the data, making the decisions, submitting the reports to the governor or whoever, basically. Those people all had PhDs and years of experience in the field. I had my eye on the Coast Guard for quite a while, actually. So probably freshman, sophomore year of college, I think so my whole family, they're all Navy, classic Navy,
Okay.
whatever. Yeah, they're all, my dad was an aviator, uncles were surface warfare officers and stuff. I don't know how, I don't know, maybe my dad mentioned it in passing. I think he always said if he could do it again, he'd fly for the Coast Guard. He was the aviator of the family. So I don't know. That basically made me look at the Coast Guard, and as I learned more, there's always the glitzy search and rescue and humanitarian side, or the law enforcement side, or whatever. But this was the one service that also did a lot to protect the marine environment. So as a kid going to school for marine science, basically, I mean, it was interesting. It was attractive. So again, that background coupled with the fact that there wasn't really any work, basically said, okay, this is the right time. Let's see if they'll take me.
You went to a regular recruiter?
Went to a regular recruiter.
Do you remember the recruiter?
Yep.
Or what office was it?
So it was the office out of Vancouver, Washington. And at the time, it was IT2 James Copeland. You're awesome, pal. I went in late 2015. I want to say maybe October, November frame. I did my OCS interview in January of 2016. I got the word in May or maybe April. And then in July, I went off to OCS.
So you did join, you came in and you optioned to take the BRS.
I did.
What made you decide to do that?
So what was attractive for the blended retirement system was that I could basically get out at any point and still make some percentage based on how much service I had, completed at that point. So I wouldn't be walking away with nothing. Under the old retirement system, I'd have to serve at least 20 before I could start getting, that pension, basically getting the high 3 pension.
Right.
BRS, I don't got to do that. BRS, I'd get, I don't know the percentage, but, whatever was relative to that 14 years of service that I put in.
So did you join the Coast Guard thinking it was going to be a career?
I didn't. No, I've never. They're always like, my favorite line that I hear is, you got to be thinking 2 years or 2 tours in advance. You got to be looking down the road and trying to find, where you want to go, and then you need to pick the jobs that are going to get you there. And I think there's some truth to that. I have no idea where I'm going to be in 5 years or 6 years. I don't know where I'm going to be in 2 years. So I didn't join thinking I was going to do the whole 20, honestly. It's never been a target. If I get it, awesome. If it's the Coast Guard.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I mean, that's the really good thing about the BRS system is
Exactly.
if you don't think you're going to make a career out of it, that's the way to go.
Honestly, I mean, I think it's a smart move. I think I actually like that the government shifted towards that.
What was your academy class? I don't even know do they number them? Do they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. So the way it works, so I did OCS off the straights, so I have no prior enlisted experience, nothing like that. A lot of folks, probably 95% of the class that I went with, they were all priors. Another 3%, let's call it.
Straight off the street.
They were C-Spy.
Oh.
Yeah. No, there were probably between 5 and 10 folk in that class. I think my class was about 120 folks big. And that's, I guess, counting NOAA Corps, which is just a whole other thing that we can talk about if you want. Bottom line, I was probably one of 5 or 6, 7, basically a handful of new accessions who were, and I say new accession as in purely off the straight, no Coast Guard experience whatsoever.
How long was your academy class?
17 weeks was as long as I was there.
What time of the year did you go?
I went summer to winter. So the Coast Guard holds officer candidate school and their regular academy, like the way most officers, I guess, become officers. They do it at the same place, same time, basically. They kept our OCS class isolated from the cadets. There was like maybe a 2-week period where we got to mingle.
Okay.
But we also had DCO, direct commission officers. So we all went through like the 2-week period of initial hazing together, but then they separated those DCOs out.
You can't say hazing anymore. That's illegal.
We went through
We're not allowed to do that.
We went through that 2-week period of indoctrination together.
There you go.
There it is. And then they separated them out and they put them in what was effectively a hotel. And comically enough, we also had international students. We had like some folks from like the Philippines. We had a guy from Lebanon and another guy from Malta. Mm-hmm. We had some Bahamians.
Do you remember your class chief?
Chief Ryan Kane. Yeah, I do remember that guy.
What was it? Do you know what rate he was?
Oh, he was he spent most of his career as a FS, but then while I was there, he became a CS, culinary specialist. Yeah.
Do you like him? Was he good? Did he help your class out?
We had one warrant officer and one chief, and that was our whole interaction with that side of the Coast Guard. The mess, that was it, basically. But as far as day-to-day interaction, he was it. And I always really liked him. Again, total straight shooter. You know, whenever anybody struggled, including myself, like, he gave it to you straight. He didn't BS you. You know, he'd break the whole training scenario down and just be like, well, what is wrong? What are you doing? Like, how do we fix this, basically? So I always appreciated someone who was, you know, real, I guess. And I know, never sucked doing push-ups, I guess, for that guy. Because you knew you deserved it, too. Like, you knew it wasn't, like, he was the only guy who would actually make you feel bad about the thing that you allegedly did. Like, versus the rest, which is just a game. Right?
He used common sense and actually put it all together for you.
Yeah. Chief Gay was a company commander for the Coast Guard. And then he had the option to go be the class chief at OCS, and he took it. And his whole line of thought was like, okay, as a company commander, I get to shape the future, generations of enlisted personnel. I get to make that kind of impact. But he rationalized that at OCS, well, okay, now I can actually try to impact the people who are going to be leading those people, which is also really damn important. So everything he did seemed to carry forth with that mission, if that makes sense.
It does, and I'm glad you had a class chief that actually made that impact.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything wrong with someone that has a bachelor or a master's degree that chooses to enlist versus chooses to go to OCS and come in as an officer?
No, not at all. I've known many people with master's degrees. I've even heard word of people with, PhDs who do it. Like, if you want to do something, you want to get out there, there's a specific mission type or set or, job that looks attractive to you, do it. Who cares about what titles you have? I don't think that matters. You just have to be realistic about what you're going to be doing. Just because you have degrees, and I guess that's the only piece of advice I'd say, just because you might have something or you might be smart or whatever, that doesn't make you an automatic god at what you do. You know what I mean? You got, it takes a lot of skills, a lot of communication, a lot of experience to kind of make this whole thing work. So you have to be open to that. You have to be humble about that. You have to.
Would you have that same answer if you chose to go into any other service?
No. So part of the reason why I chose the Coast Guard is, something that I really think is cool that we do that none of the other services do is that we delegate. We trust our members is what it boils down to, right? The crew running, that SAR mission, that we're all working together on, that crew out there in the field doing the actual mission, that could be a BM2 or a BM3, a third class petty officer, 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old kid. And that guy's making calls on scene that none of us are capable of because he's the one on scene, right? That's pretty freaking cool.
What happened at the academy that constantly had you laughing at stuff?
So I overthought everything. It took me forever to finally realize there is no rhyme or reason. There's no logic here. Just do the thing.
Yes.
I overthought everything, which made me a walking disaster, which I think was pretty comedic for the rest of the crew. In fact, where did I fall in my class? I want to say somewhere around the 2/3 mark. Now, does that mean anything? The answer is kind of. Only insofar as it determined which billet you got, because again, you compete for billets, right? So,
does it have anything to do with if you were going up against a classmate for making rank?
Yes, also that. So, basically, yeah, where I fell in that specific OCS class is also kind of where I fall in the officer ranking, the realm of officer ranking. So now, don't get me wrong, it's a holistic picture, right?
Right.
So they're going to look at evaluations and qualifications and other things, but given two identical candidates, right, with all the same qualifications, same OERs, they could look at the candidate, if, between me and the other candidate, if that candidate fell higher in the class, something that, we have done at this point 10, 15 years ago, they'll take that candidate.
I've heard that from a few different. It's really big making commander.
Yes.
It seems to be.
05. So 04 is kind of when it starts to get a little serious because basically past 04, there are only so many slots in the Coast Guard for you, and that's determined by Congress.